Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Cleary, and I'm a program manager here at Magic. I am so excited. We just got done with our Group 2 cohort presentations for the summer 2025 session. In fact, Zauditu was our final presentation, last but certainly not least. And I'm so excited to hear more about their experience working together and their project. But before I get carried away, if the two of you could just introduce yourselves, Zauditu, if you could kick us off.
Hi, my name is Zauditu Saunders. I'm in 12th grade. I live in New York City and I go to Fieldston.
Awesome. And hi, I'm Soja Morgans. I'm a software manager at Google, and I've been mentoring through Magic for 12 years, I think now. Yeah.
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun, right? That's what they say. So, Zauditu, can you tell us a little bit about your project and what made you choose that as your focus for your project?
I my project is a reusable ejector pen, and I think the main reason I started thinking about this is because of my own experience with medical issues. Um, I've had at times hard like trouble even getting my injector pens, and when I have gotten them, there it's been like very costly on my parents. Just because of like the fact that some of my medications do come in syringes, but it's just like more convenient to use an auto injector pen, and at least in my experience. So I think I decided thinking about like a reusable pen because I don't personally like the idea of using syringes, though I have in the past. So I wanted something that would both act as like an auto injector pen without like the hassle of getting the medication in an auto injector pen. Um, and yeah, so that was kind of like my inspiration for the project. Um, for,
All right, wonderful. And can you tell us a bit about, um, what were one or two things that you learned along the way, whether it was the research part of it or the actual tangible part of taking apart the different
yeah.
pens?
I think three different things. Well, I learned how to measure, like I learned first of all how to like take measurements and convert them into like a 3D model. Like the first time I didn't really measure anything. I kind of did by like eye. I was like, it's about this long. So this time I ended up doing like more measurements in order for my injector pen to actually fit around a syringe. The second thing I learned was definitely how to use Onshape in a more in-depth way. I had no idea how to make technical drawings. I didn't even realize like how technical drawings were usually set up. So learning how to do that on Onshape was pretty cool. And I also learned how to use like a bunch of different tools which are helpful. And I think the third thing I learned was just like the diversity in like the amount like what you can do in STEM. So I was kind of talking about how my college counselor was recommending me getting something related in like getting a degree somewhere in like English with like something also STEM on the side. And I remember this was near like the beginning of the program, but I remember when Soja was like talking about that, she was talking about how that could be used, for example, in like working with AI for like different like working with different models. And I just learned more about like how broad of career path you can have to like be part of like doing something in STEM. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with Soja that sometimes the humanities and STEM, you have to choose one or the other, but actually in both areas, they're very well blended. And so your project really tied both of those things together. Do you, after, conducting your reverse engineering, as you called it, did you find yourself enjoying that reverse engineering of like actually physically taking the thing apart more, or did you enjoy inputting the measurements into Onshape and having an item come out of the 3D
Yeah.
printer?
I think I enjoyed different parts of it for like different reasons. I thought it was really exciting like during the 3D printing process, just like I wasn't personally like 3D printing everything, but I got to see it being 3D printed. And I also thought creating the model was pretty cool. Um, but I think breaking things apart is kind of always fun. I love to do that as a kid. Like I love to just take things apart. So I think going back to that as like now someone who's gonna almost be an adult was pretty interesting experience. And I really love doing it because I didn't even actually fully I saw the models of my injector pens, but I never actually seen the internal mechanics up close, and I felt like that gave me a different understanding of how everything worked together.
Mhm. Wonderful. Well, in talking with Zauditu, it's obvious how engaged she was in this project, how in depth her research and her work was. And so, Soja, how, as a mentor, do you guide somebody along who has this big, bold idea to have them come up with a product?
Yeah, this was a fascinating project, as it always is. Just like context, right? I'm in California. Zauditu in New York. We've never actually met in person, and she is going around with a hacksaw, going to the 3D printer. It's a very physical project. And so I think we actually talked with this beforehand. It helps me resist the temptation to like try to do the problem solving and rather give her the tools. And you went like you're pulling things instead of telling you like, oh, I think that design's wrong. She got to go in, pull the thing apart and say, oh, actually it doesn't work the way I think it does. And I think that like the fact that it was remote, which it sometimes can be frustrating, was actually perfect for me guiding instead of telling. And like this is totally Zuzu driven. Like I just sort of sat there and was like, oh, okay, go figure out where to find a 3D printer, and it looks like roughly we can do something by August. Yeah, I think that was a very like literally physical barrier to enable her to pursue her own to pursue things on her own time, and that was great.
And Soja, you mentioned it being very Zuzu driven. And so with that, so what's one or two things that you learned from Zuzu throughout this process?
Oh my gosh. I mean, first of all, so my background's mechanical engineering. I haven't done this for a long time. So like revisiting the fact, like again, you're talking about tearing things apart, and like Zuzu hasn't done it for 10 years. I haven't done it, and just how helpful that is to get off the computer screen, get things into your hands, and watching like the very rapid yeah, just how very rapidly you come up to speed in terms of expertise as well as communication. And I think that was the other thing we sort of had the other thing I was sort of realizing is, again, I come from a CS background. So much of what we try to do in Drive is digital. And it was really cool flipping that in this project and having Zuzu communicate through animation, through like, I think you sent me a video that was audio edited in an hour, but just like how like just learning for me how much technology is out there to really re-engage both like on the physical side and like authentic quick communication rather than these beautiful complex things, and that was awesome.
Well, thank you. And Zauditu, last question for you. Um, when most people think of summer break, they don't think of participating in a STEM program. And so, if a potential future mentee is watching this interview, and they're considering maybe doing the summer session, why should they spend their summer doing a project like this?
To be honest, I always think you should spend your summer doing something because if I didn't have this to do, I honestly don't know what I would be doing. Like I had a short job, but other than that, like this really gave me something to do and focus on, which honestly was perfect for me because I love building things. So I honestly just if you find something that you love to do, it's not really going to feel like a burden. But if you find something that is something that you're not necessarily interested in, then I can kind of see where that could kind of be burdensome in terms of the summer. But I personally found everything in this project really interesting, and I especially because it was like a learning process. So I think that is what really helped keep me engaged. So I would honestly recommend like finding something you're interested in and pursuing that. And yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And your project was just absolutely wonderful. You should be so proud of yourselves, both of you. Thank you so much for your time, dedication, and energy this summer. And I hope you take some time to celebrate as you should.
Thank you.
Mhm.